Chapter 7. Escaping the Shadow. Carlo couldn't tear his eyes away from the volcano. As more and more ash continued to gush out from the crater, the giant gray cloud grew bigger and bigger. Lightning flickered and flashed across the dark sky. Then Carlo saw something else, what looked like a river of mud and ash racing down the mountain toward them, mowing down all of the trees in the way. He thought of the ancient people of Pompeii and Herculaneum buried beneath the ash from Mount Vesuvius. Is that what would happen to him if the river of mud and ash caught up with them? He remembered his mother saying these pyroclastic flows could destroy everything in their paths. "Faster, Mama, faster!" Carlo called out. Rosa didn't take her eyes off the road, but Carlo saw the determined look on her face, and he knew that she was going as fast as she could. He hoped it was fast enough. Carlo kept looking back. It was as if the mud and ash were chasing them. They were in a race for their lives. Carlo hoped they'd had enough of a head start. He sat very still in the sidecar, his heart pumping fast. He felt as if he couldn't breathe. Next to him, the mayor's eyes were still squeezed shut. Carlo turned his gaze away from the river of mud and ash and looked straight ahead toward the glistening bay in the distance. Still, they kept going and going. Carlo ventured another glance behind, afraid that he would see they were about to be swallowed up by the river of mud and ash. What he saw made him smile. A river of mud and ash had slowed down on the flat ground at the foot of the mountain. It wouldn't catch up with them now. Carlo gave his mom the thumbs-up sign, and she smiled. She pointed to what looked like a few big snowflakes fluttering down from the sky. Carlo thought it was strange to have snow so late in the spring, especially when it wasn't even cold outside. However, when he looked closer, he saw that the snowflakes were black. He suddenly realized that they weren't snowflakes at all, but flakes of ash falling to the ground from the ash cloud. As Carlo watched, what started as a few flakes soon built up to be a blizzard of ash, turning the sky black and even covering the countryside in a blanket of black ash. Through the ash blizzard, they could see lights in the distance. As they approached, Rosa started cheering, and soon Carlo, Aldo, and even the mayor all joined in. They had reached the end of the exclusion zone. They were safe at last. Rosa parked the little scooter outside the evacuation center. Paramedics immediately got a stretcher for the mayor and carried him inside. Aldo followed. Rosa and Carlo sat together in the sidecar. Flakes of ash were still falling around them. "Well, we made it," said Rosa, giving Carlo an affectionate squeeze. "We're safe and sound." "Yeah," said Carlo thoughtfully. "It was close, wasn't it? But we actually escaped from the volcano." Just then he noticed an orange glow peeking through the ash cloud over the top of Vesuvius. "Is that some hot lava coming out of the volcano now?" he asked. "No, I think Vesuvius was mostly ash and gas," his mother said. "That's what made such a massive blast." "Well, what's that orange light then?" asked Carlo. As he watched, the orange light grew into a big orange ball. It was the sun, setting over the mountain. Streaks of orange, pink, and purple filled the sky. The giant gray ash cloud glowed with beautiful colors. Rosa and Carlo gazed at the sunset in wonder, glad to be together and glad to be alive. Ring, ring, ring. Mrs. Corelli picking up the phone. "Salve! Hello?" Rosa. "Mama!" Mrs. Corelli. "Rosa, is that you? Thank goodness. We've been so worried about you. Are you safe? Are you hurt? Is Carlo all right?" Rosa. "We're both fine, although it was a narrow escape." Mrs. Corelli. "We saw television explosions of Vesuvius erupting. The explosion has devastated the entire west side. Where were you when the eruption happened?" Rosa. "We were on the mountain still. The mayor had refused to leave Monte Vista, but then the violent earthquake happened just before the main eruption. So Carlo and I returned to the village piazza to find him, and the TV journalist who was with him. Scootering back down the mountainside was pretty hair-raising." Mrs. Corelli. "You risked your life for them? You are crazy. What a relief you are safe." Rosa. "Everybody is. There are just a handful of people who were hurt in the rush to evacuate, and some others who have had breathing problems due to the ash falling." Mrs. Corelli. "Where are you now?" Rosa. We're at an evacuation center on the outskirts of Naples. Everybody is being looked after well. The emergency services and the local people have provided us with food and bedding. Mrs. Corelli. May I speak to Carlo? Rosa. Of course. Ciao, Nana, says Carlo. Hello, Grandma. Mrs. Corelli. Carlo, wonderful to hear your voice. I've heard you've had quite an adventure, my brave boy. Carlo. Yes, it was terrifying at the time, but thrilling, thinking back on the eruption now. Vesuvius certainly woke up from the shadows, like a giant. The mountain is still gushing ash. It's an incredible sight. Mrs. Corelli. Your grandpa and I are so relieved that you are both safe.